It's about time you showed up, Fox!
Fox McCloud, a character who for the most part hasn't really changed since his initial conception. Being the main hero, his origins come from the original Super Nintendo game, Star Fox, though he nearly didn't make the cut. During the early days of NES Glider, the tech demo that would become Star Fox, Shigeru Miyamoto was working on creating a world for the game to take place in. The setting was fairly easy to come up with, but the hero for the game wasn't. While the idea of an animal character was in place, Miyamoto couldn't decide on who the protagonist should be. Various ones were created like Starhawk, Star Sparrow, even Star Sheep, and what would later become the villainous Star Wolf.
No way!
It wasn't until Miyamoto and the team visited the Fushimi Inari Taisha Shrine in Kyoto that the character was decided upon. The shrine is dedicated to Inari Okami, whose messenger is a fox-like spirit known for being able to fly. Many of its shrines are surrounded by red arches, cementing for Miyamoto the idea of a fox flying through them. The reason why it's Star Fox and not the Japanese equivalent Star Kitsune was due to a local baseball team being named the Inari Foxes. Miyamoto thought it sounded cooler, and so Star Fox came to be. Fox's design was based fully around Inari. In almost all his games he wears a red scarf, just like Inari's statue at the shrine. His personality was based off Miyamoto's, much like how the rest of the Star Fox team were also based off the different developers of the game. His surname, McCloud, was a creation of team member Dylan Cuthbert, who made most of the names, aside from Falco. Fox has never really changed in appearance, much aside from some slightly different art styles, ranging from cartoony to realistic to somewhere in between. Aside from the eye and nose colour, Fox is just Fox. Though there is one infamous little detail that many like to point out. In the original Super Nintendo game, all marketing, instructions, and even the box art features puppets of the Star Fox team in place of traditional artwork. The reason behind the puppets was Miyamoto was a huge fan of the puppet TV show Thunderbirds, and personally had a hand in creating the Star Fox team. He even hoped that the success of Star Fox might mean that they could get their own TV show in the same style, made by the same people. Obviously this didn't happen, but Miyamoto's puppets would lead many people to discuss a certain part of Fox's design. More accurately, his and the rest of the team's creepy metal feet. Many people will tell you that Fox and his friends had their feet amputated and replaced with robotic limbs to withstand the extreme G-forces in space and stop all their blood rushing to their feet. The story of their amputated legs supposedly comes from a Nintendo Power article. Later games would retcon this with the G-diffuser, and it would never be mentioned again by Nintendo. Truth is though, it was never mentioned by them to begin with. The robotic feet are actually just the metal underskeleton of the puppets, which have been slightly decorated to resemble boots. You can tell when comparing one shot of Falco's feet to another. Nintendo never said Fox has robot feet, it simply just allowed them to save materials and money during the puppet creation, and while the metallic look of the boots would be referenced in later games, they are simply that, boots. It's likely the story of the robotic limbs stemmed from fan theories backed up by Nintendo Power artwork. Furthermore, you can clearly see in the game itself that Fox does have normal feet, and the word of the actual game is a little bit more valid than a magazine cover. Later games in the series would give them normal boots. It's a fun fan theory, but it's nothing more. Fox really hasn't been expanded upon much since his original appearance. The biggest change is his voice actors, which Fox has had a rather interesting relationship with. While initially he and the rest of the cast spoke the gibberish Lylat language in the first game, by the N64 era, Fox was voiced by Mike West. Since then he's been voiced by Steve Malpass for Adventures and Super Smash Bros. Melee, Jim Walker for Assault and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, before finally returning back to Mike West for the Star Fox 64 remake and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Since he retained his Japanese voice in the original Smash Bros, This means his English voice actor has changed with each version of the game. When Rare reworked Dinosaur Planet to include him, the only real changes made to him were the inclusion of his love interest Crystal, and giving us a glimpse into the occasional goofier or darker sides of him. However, they don't really diverge from his original character. That being said, a new Star Fox game is on its way to Wii U, and it's the first one Miyamoto himself is having a hand in designing, not just being a producer. So who knows what direction Fox and his team will head next.